you are bound to surmount, and we did surmount it, and so we're happy about it.
I'm sure there's so much to remind the Honorable Minister about this last 1 year.
Yes. One of the biggest developments in the course of this year is the evident fracture of your political party, the PDP. So many people have left your party, making it look difficult for the party to be electable. Do you still see yourself as a committed PDP member? And do you think your party can bounce back from the mass defection from its ranks?
There's nothing that is impossible. Once you are committed to carrying out the based on due process, there's nothing that is impossible. First of all, what is happening to my party is what I have predicted before now. That if things are not done in the right way, this is where we're going to find ourselves. No Nigerian will say that they have not, they didn't know what I said. I have said it severally. I'm not going to say leadership is very key to anything you are doing. Leadership in association, leadership in government. If the leaders do not take the right decision, this is how it's bound to be. And we have had this kind of issue before, when the party did not collapse. Nobody was affected because the leadership was committed to seeing that certain changes are made in order to keep the party going. But when you have a leadership that is not even focused, a leadership that is very selfish, a leadership that does not understand that in politics is different from business. And so you are bound to see what you are saying today. And if they correct themselves, obviously, mind you, this is a party that is known in all grassroots. This is a party that is known in all Nigerians. It's not a new party. From 1999, People's Democratic Party has been in power, and unfortunately in 2015, they lost to the APC. And still retained probably a good number of seats. Also good presence in the National Assembly. We have a leadership that's not focused. We have a leadership that does not even know what to do. We have a leadership that does not even take any suggestions. And that is where we are. So if the leadership is committed and comes back to say, look, we have made a mistake. Why is it that things are happening this way now? What do we do to correct us? You see, it's not just to take over government. You have to position yourself. If the leadership is right, okay, look, by 2027, it's likely that we may not make it. But are we going to allow the party to die? Can't we start to build up? Let us take the right decision against 2031. It's all dependent on leadership. That's all I will say.
Okay, but let's get into it now then. You're sounding like you want unity and collaboration between leadership, but Seyi Makinde is accusing you of doing the opposite. So if we get into his media chat that happened not too long ago, he mentioned you by name and said in a meeting with the president that you were present and the president's chief of staff was present, that you said to the president that I will hold PDP for you. And then he said that he went with you to the veranda or the balcony and said, this is not what we planned, or this is not what we agreed to. And then he said that if you're free to support the president if you want to, but he is free not to. Now, is that factual? Because he said other people were there.
That's the blatant lie. And that's why, you see, Seyi Makinde has never called me Wike. Never. That's the first time I hear him say Wike. They've never called me Wike one day. It's unfortunate. First of all, you ask yourself, what was that meeting? What is the purpose of that meeting? That would have led me to say, Mr. President, I will hold PDP for you. Why did Seyi Makinde not come up all this while to tell the party, see what Wike is doing? I was in a meeting and see what Wike said. It is not correct. And let me put the record straight. There is no such meeting. Rather, my humble self, the former governor of Benue State, Otom, the former governor of Abia State, Ibazu, the former governor of Enugu State, Ugwaye, and Nyesom Wike, we went to see president.
That's G5.
Yes, we went to see president to discuss, of course, elections were over, to discuss about certain things. While we were there, the chief of staff, of course, you should know that the chief of staff is always around the president. I was one who said, look, chief of staff, I'll come and so that you can, remind the president of what we have discussed. There was nothing like editing. We booked to go and see Mr. President. So you couldn't, it is completely out of place for anybody to say that in that meeting, I said to Mr. President, I will hold PDP that for you. That's very unfair. Very, very unfair. Totally unfair. I mean, you see, I have told everybody, frustration, if you can see, if you watch Magende on that Media Chat, you can see frustration. And this is a young man who have advised severally. What it is not like being a contractor with Shell. What it is not like being a contractor with the Bible. It has different rules. It has different. When the Nyesom come into politics, when you come into politics, and you see, there's nothing wrong in having ambition, but the ambition must be tailored according to the rules.
Ambition, what is the ambition? Running for president or what?
They don't even have the balls to tell them they want to run for president. Let me say that I tell anybody. But we know, we are not kids. You see, there are things you can do. I think that people don't know. People do. They watch you. They follow what is going on. How do PDP enter this crisis? It is Nyesom Wake's ambition. How do you enter the crisis? He went and arranged with some people to make sure that our secretary is ousted. He wants people to go to State High Court in Enugu. When you know that the State High Court has no jurisdiction over that matter, they got the judgment. No problem. Somebody went to the Court of Appeal. On appeal, somebody won. We all agreed for the party to move on. Look, convention will be coming. Why not allow this to go on? We have only 1 year. So what are you pursuing? In the convention, you will make sure those who don't want them to come back will not come back. He refused and went to Supreme Court. When he got to Supreme Court, he lost. He still believes that the Supreme Court said the party has no division. Come on, what are you doing? Who appealed to Supreme Court? You and your colleague, you and your co-host appealed to Supreme Court and you lost. Until when they went to INEC, INEC told them, listen, as far as we are concerned, in our system, the secretary of the PDP is Senator Sam right? Now, Saraki, you have this witness. We have met the Saraki's guest house severally. Filtering, the governor of Adamawa was there. Bala, the chairman of government forum was there. Saraki said, well, yeah, there's nothing you have agreed to do that Makinde will not get a different thing. There's nothing. And this is why we are here today. Because, okay, look at even the convention, for example. The Board of Trustees set up a committee to say, look, what do we do? Committee headed by Wike Adamawa, former governor of Osun, former deputy governor, and chief of staff to President Jonathan Ojedeme, Senator Zanab Kure, and 2 other people came up with a report. Look, let's not go for this convention. Let's set up caretaker committee. The same Cheyi, of course, you know about first Wabara. He has no name. You know he has no name.
But just mention it.
He has no name. That does not mean that that's the name. Let me know what you do as a senator. They just bribe of 15 million naira. Everybody is aware of that. He went. The man denied and said, oh, the committee was compromised. There are 2 judgments of the Federal High Court, Justice Omotosho and Justice Lufu. Substantive judgment, not others. Nyesom today, that's why frustration can make you do a lot of things that will cause damage. He went to Ibadan State High Court to obtain an ex parte order, State High Court, to obtain an ex parte order for them to still go on with that convention. How could an ex parte order override substantive judgment of two courts? Of course, he had done his so-called convention. INEC was not there. INEC refused to recognize them. Then, in that same matter, INEC filed a preliminary objection to say that, look, court, you have made a decision over us. Why would you be a party to this? And the court agreed and struck out INEC name. So there was nothing binding on INEC. The same person now had gone to the Federal High Court in Ibadan to recognize them. To recognize the convention we have done. The convention of Federal High Court has said you cannot go ahead and do. You have either disobeyed the court judgment. You now find at the Federal High Court now in Ibadan that look, recognize us as the legitimate principal officers. That has not been settled. We are going to go to Federal High Court in Abuja against police on see the secretary so we can use. Why not wait for the Federal High Court to say, okay, you are the legitimate principal officer? So the point I'm making is not, look at where PDP is today. Look at the crisis. Something that would have easily solved. Listen to the voice of elders. Don't go ahead. Not from caretaker committee. Today, PDP has no candidate in Ekiti State. Today, PDP has no candidate in Osun State. Now, when you say one-party state, who is making us have a one-party state? If you are listening to people and allow due process to take place, with the issue of one-party state arise, you are the one who is creating one-party state, and yet you are accusing the government of trying to have a one-party state. Just listen to what people have said and follow due process. By now, you wouldn't have been talking about one-party state. Now, having taken wrong steps by destroying your party, you are now accusing the other party of wanting to have a one-party state. It doesn't make sense.
Excellency, if I may, before Rotus asked that question, leading to Mr. Seyi Makinde's question, chat, my colleague here, right in the middle, I call him BKO. I'm trying to remember his first name. Jide had raised the issue of the leadership, and you had said that if the leadership of the party doesn't listen, etc., etc. You had also spoken to something leading up to a convention. That you had told them, or there had been suggestions that whatever grounds they had against the national secretary of the party should be held up until they entered the convention. So it seemed like all was geared towards this convention, only for us to hear much later that no, there were suggestions that the convention be stepped down. Even you yourself had mentioned that Mr. Samayan was going to be secretary of the party up until the convention. What made people change their minds about this convention? At what point did